Hello, lovely people. Welcome to Vab Fashion's YouTube channel. My name is Eunice. Thank you for clicking on this video. If this is your first time here, please click on the subscribe button to subscribe and also put on your notification bell so you get a notification every time I upload a new video. And subscription is free. It's just your way of supporting my channel. Thank you. In this video, we'll be learning how to make this beautiful gown you see on the mannequin. It's a bustier gown. The upper part is a straight bustier with front yoke, while the down part is a straight skirt, and you can see it's a combination of lace and Ankara fabric. The sleeve is a stylish sleeve. It's a basic sleeve with pleats at this center. That's the center front of the sleeve. Can you see how beautiful it is? It's a combination of lace and Ankara, and this is what the sleeve looks like too on this side. And then it also has this beautiful structured sleeve that gives it the cold shoulder effect. This gown is really beautiful and stylish, and it is easy to make. I hope this is something you are interested in learning. If this is it, please make sure to keep on watching till the end. And before you download this video, please make sure to watch before downloading. Thank you so much, and let's get right into the video. So these are the materials we are going to be using for this project, and this is an African print, which is also known as Ankara. And I also have this sample lace we'll be using to combine it. The sample lace will be for the yoke and the sleeves, okay? And also to have it, so I'm also going to be combining the sample lace on the skirt part, on the front part of the skirt. We're going to be placing it in front. And then here I have my lining. I'll be drafting directly on my lining. The amount of fabric I'll be folding, I will use the biggest circumference of the upper bodice, which is the bust measurement. And the bust measurement I'm working with is 44 inches. So I'm going to use 44 inches divided by 4 plus 4 inches to determine the amount of fabric to fold. So 44 divided by 4 is 11 plus 4 inches, that's 15. So once I have 15, I'm good to go. So first I'm going to draw the starting line, which is the shoulder line. Okay, so from the shoulder line, I'm going to mark the chest line. Next, I'm going to mark the bust point, which is the nipple point. Next is the under bust point. Next is the half length. And the half length I'm working with is 18 inches. So I'll add half inch to that measurement for joining it to the down part of the skirt. So that's 18.5 inches. So I'll go ahead and straighten out all the vertical lines. Now we have the chest line. I'll label it CL, bust line, under bust line, then waistline. So here on the shoulder line, I'm going to mark the shoulder measurement divided by 2 plus half inch. So the shoulder measurement of my client is 8¼ so plus half inch, that's 8¾ and then I'm going to mark the neck width of 3.5 inches. At this shoulder measurement, I'm going to come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slant. And here we are. So this is it. So having marked it, on the chest line, I'll also enter the shoulder measurement divided by 2 plus half inch. And then I'm going to connect this to the shoulder line. So here now we have a straight line that connects to the shoulder line. So this is now the front armhole. So first I'll get the midpoint of the front armhole by placing my tape from the shoulder slant to the chest line here. And this is the midpoint. And then I'll go in by 3/4 inch. I'll connect it back to the shoulder tip. And then here on the chest line, I'm going to enter the bust measurement divided by 4. And then I'll curve it from this 3/4 inch to meet this bust measurement here. So this is now the front armhole. So next I'm going to enter the bust span measurement divided by 2, which is the nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. And that in this case is 4 inches. I'll be adding half inch to it for joining. So 8 divided, the nipple to nipple measurement is 8 inches. 8 divided by 2 is 4 plus half inch, that's 4.5. So I'll mark 4.5 inches across all the lines. So I have 4.5 inches here. I'll just connect using my straight ruler. So can you see? So these are nipple to nipple measurement all the way to the chest line. So this is the bust line, this is the under bust line, and this is the waist line here. So we need to tighten the under bust and the waistline also. So here I'm making a straight bustier. This is our center piece and this is our side piece. So at the center piece here, I'm going to mark 1.5 inches. I'm tightening with 1.5 inches. I'll also mark 1.5 inches here. I will do the same thing on this side. 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches. So I'll use my straight ruler to connect like this, and then I'll also connect this way. So this is it. So from the bust point line, I'm going to come down by 3/4 of an inch. If you're making this for a small size, you can come down by 1/2 inch. So I'm coming down by 3/4 of an inch, and then over the bust, I will go up by the same 3/4 inch. And then I'll bring in my armhole curve and connect like this. And then I'll also connect. Take note of the way I'm placing my curve. I'm placing it from this 3/4 inch and then to the under bust point. So you want to make sure that it's touching both points. So this is it. So we'll tighten the under bust as well as the waist. Okay. So now the next thing we're going to do now is to tighten the over bust. So we need to get the over bust line. And to get the over bust, the distance from the bust point to the under bust gives you the over bust line. Just very simple. So from the bust point to the under bust, I have a distance of 4 inches. So I'm just going to bring back the same 4 inches here. From the bust point, I'll mark 4 inches. So you can add 1/2 inch to that measurement depending on how covered you want the upper part to be. But in this case, I'm using exactly the 4 inches. So take it like this. This is our 4 inches here. So now this is the over bust line. I'm going to label it OB. Okay. So on the over bust line, I'll mark the same 4.5 inches, which is the bust span. So then I'll straighten my line so that it gets to this point. So here on the over bust line, I'm going to also tighten the over bust. I'll be taking 1/2 inch on this side and then 1/2 inch on this other side. So 1/2 inch on the center, 1/2 inch on this side. Very simple. So I'll use my armhole curve. Take note of the way I'm placing it. Now I'm going to connect from this point to this 3/4 inch I came up by here. Remember, I came up by 3/4 inch from the bust point. So I'm just going to place it this way. You don't want this to be too sharp or too curvy. So just place your curve correctly. Okay, so now that we have done this, we have tightened the over bust too. So the next thing we want to do now is to create the yoke. We're going to have a yoke on this outfit. So I'm going to first mark the neckline. I'm using a neck depth of 3.5 inches. I use the neck width of 3.5 inches. I'm using the same neck depth of 3.5. So I'll mark 3.5 by 3.5 and use my curved ruler to connect it. My armhole curve rather to connect it. So this is it. So now to determine the depth of the yoke. So from the neck depth here, I will come down by extra 4.5 inches. So this is 4.5 inches. So if I place my tape from the shoulder line here, so that means I came down by 8 inches. So that's fine. So this is the depth, 8 inches here. And then for the side here, that's at the armhole side, I'm going to be coming down from the shoulder slant. I'll come down by 5.5 inches. And then I'll bring in my armhole curve and connect the points like this. So this is what our sweetheart yoke will look like. You see? So this is it. So this is going to be the yoke. So this is the yoke, okay? So here we are. So I'm going to, so you can see the line extends this way. So these are tightening all the way, okay? So now we're going to have to replace all our dart intakes and then we'll go ahead and cut. So now the bust measurement divided by 4 is 11 inches. So I'm going to mark 11 plus my sewing allowance of 2 inches. And then I need 1/2 inch to join the center piece and the side piece. So that's 1 inch. So here the under bust measurement divided by 4 is 9 inches. The dart intake I have here, I have a total of 3 inches. So I'll replace back that 3 inches. And then I'll add my sewing allowance of 2 inches and then 3 inches, that's plus 1 inch for joining the two sides. So you see it ends exactly at the end of my fabric here. So the waist measurement is the same. The waist measurement is the same, 36 inches. So I'm just going to measure everything I have here and bring it down here. So you can see this is it. So I'll go ahead and connect it to the bust point here. So here on the chest line, I'm going to add the same 3 inches I added to all the points. I'll bring the same 3 inches here because we're also going to join them together. So now here are the over bust. This dart intake I have here, because I'm going to tighten it and I'm going to cut out this. So when we cut it out, there's going to be a shortage. So we're also going to replace the dart. So here I have a dart intake of 1 inch. So on this part, can you see on this part, I will come out by 1 inch. So you need to replace the dart. I'll replace the dart, which is 1 inch. I'll also be joining the two pieces together. So I also need my sewing allowance, ½ inch on this side, ½ inch on this side. If we were drafting on our pattern paper, I would have added the ½ inch on both sides. I hope we get that. So I'm going to come out by 1 inch also. So this is it. Can you see? So this part now extends this way. So now this is now going to be the new armhole for the down part, which is the bustier. So I'm just going to place my armhole curve and reshape the armhole. So now this is now our new armhole for the yoke. The yoke is maintaining the original armhole because we're not taking out anything from the yoke. We replaced everything we're going to lose and we added back our stitching allowances. Okay. So next I'm going to take away the difference between the front and the back half length. For my client, her front half length is 18 inches and her back half length is 16 inches, which is a difference of 2 inches. I'll be taking away that 2 inches. So on the waistline here, I will go up by 2 inches at the side. At the side here, 2 inches, and then I'm going to connect it to the first dart leg here. So you see, so this is our difference. You can see. So if we're drafting on our pattern, this is how our bust dart will look like. So this is our bust dart that is at the side. So it's also referred to as your side dart. So you can see we are done drafting our front patterns. So we're going to go ahead and cut it out. This is our yoke. So we'll go ahead and cut out the darts. And so this is what our patterns looks like. This is our center front and these are two side fronts and this is the yoke. So now let me show us this. So can you see I'm placing the side piece on the center piece with ½ inch, which is going to be my stitching allowance. So let's just pin it down so that I can show us what I want to show us. And you see then I'll bring in my yoke. Can you see how the yoke fits in? Can you see it is equal here and this is the armhole. So if you don't replace back the stitching allowance, by the time you stitch, your yoke will be smaller. It will go inside. Okay. So if you need to reshape the armhole, it is okay. By the time you are done joining everything, you can just go ahead and reshape the armhole. I hope we get that. Okay. So this is it. Set our front pieces aside so that we can draft the back. For the back is just going to be a basic bodice. It's really simple. So let's go ahead. So I'm going to set the back piece aside so that we can draft the down part. So to draft the down part, I folded my fabric. You can see it's on fold. And to determine the amount of fabric to fold, you use the biggest measurement. Here in this case, the hip is the biggest measurement to determine the amount of fabric. So the hip I'm working with is 50. 50 divided by 4, that will be 12.5 plus my sewing allowance of 2 inches plus ½ inch for turning my lining. So that's a total of 15 inches. So you want to make sure that you have up to the measurement you are looking for. Here I have more than 15 inches because of this chopped area, but this is okay. Okay. So I'm going to just start drafting. So first I'm going to mark the starting line, which is the waistline now. We are drafting the skirt, so this is the starting line and this is the waistline. So next I'm going to mark the hip line, and to get the hip line we are making a gown. We already have the upper bodice, so we are going to be subtracting the upper bodice from the measurement. The full length of my client is 60 inches, and we have her half length, which is already 18 inches for the front half length. So all my measurement will start minus 18 inches. I hope you understand that. A very simple way of doing it, instead of placing the tape exactly on 18 inches, I'll be placing it on 17.5. This is because the half inch will be for joining the upper bodies. But if you don't understand that, you can place your tape exactly on the 18 inches, and then after you have finished drafting, you go ahead and add half inch, which will be for your sewing allowance. But you may forget. So I always like to place my tape from minus the half length plus half. I hope you understand that, or minus half, as the case may be. So instead of placing the tape on 18 inches, I'm placing on 17.5. That's plus my sewing allowance inclusive, the stitching allowance. I hope that is clear. So I'll place my tape from minus 17.5, and the hip line of my client is 27 inches. So please work with your own measurement. For my client's hip line is 27 inches. So next I'm going to mark the knee point, and her knee point is 40 inches. Next is the full length of the skirt, which is 60 inches. So because I'm drafting directly on my lining, I won't be adding hemming allowance. If I was drafting on my fabric, I'll add the hemming allowance that we use to turn the lining. So the lining, I'll leave it at this point, so that on my fabric, we'll add the 2 inches. That's just that. Very simple. So I'm going to straighten out all the lines I have here. So this is the waistline, W, H, and E, the full length. Okay, so here on the waistline, I'm going to enter the waist measurement of my client divided by 4, 9 inches. So plus 2 inches for my sewing allowance. And then here on the hip line, hip measurement divided by 4, that's 12.5 plus 2 inches. And then on the knee line, whatever I have here on the knee line, on the hip line. Okay, so the next is the knee line. Whatever I have on the hip line, I'll subtract 1.5 from it and enter it on the knee line. So on the hip line here, I have 14.5. 14.5 minus 1.5, that will give me 13 inches. So I'll mark 13 inches here on the knee line. So I'm subtracting 1.5 from what I have on the hip line, including the sewing allowance. So if you are making this for a girl that is hippie and has slim thighs, you can subtract 2 inches from it. So, but if the person has big thighs, please work with 1.5. It's okay. Okay. So here I have 13 inches. The same 13 inches, I'll take it down to the hem line here. So this is it. So I'm going to use my straight ruler to connect the points. So I'll be connecting from hip to waistline, and then from hip line to knee line, and then to the full length. So this is what the front pattern of our skirt looks like. So here on the waistline, I'm going to come down by 1 inch. This is to take away the waist sloper, to eliminate any form of bulge, as in any form of gathering around here. Okay, so I came down by 1 inch at the center front here. I'm going to connect it to the waist measurement, to the actual waist measurement, not to the sewing allowance. Can you see? So this is it. Very simple. So I'll go ahead and cut out the skirt pattern without cutting out the waist sloper yet. So we'll cut it out. This skirt, I didn't add that to the waistline. I'm not going to have that on the front waistline. Okay, so I'll fold my fabric so that we can cut the back. So I folded my fabric for the back. I had to use some items to hold it down because my lining is rolling. It's rolling, okay, or it's folded. So here is our center front, and you can see that the back has an extension. I have an extension of 1.5 inches, which is for my zip allowance, or for the zip allowance. So I'm just going to straighten out this line. Okay, so this is for the zip allowance. So let me label it ZA. So this is for zip allowance. Okay, so I'm just going to extend our lines. This is the hip line, the knee line, the full length, and this of course is the waistline. So here I have a zip allowance of 1.5 inches. So we're going to need to eliminate zipper bulge at the back, just like we did for the upper bodies. So here I have 1.5 inches. I'm going to take away half inch from it. Can you see? I'm coming in by half inch, so we're left with 1 inch here. On the hip line, I won't touch that point. Then I'll come down to the knee line. On the knee line here, you can see I have 1.5 inches as well. On this knee line, I will take away 1 inch. This is to create the bum illusion so that the butt of this person will come out well. Our back is not straight. Our bum bum is not it's not just straight at the back. It has that bum shape, and then at the lap area or at the thigh area, it begins to go in. So to create that bum, nice bum effect, on the knee area here or the knee line, I will go in by 1 inch. 1 inch. So I'm left with half inch there. On the full length, I will also go in by the same 1 inch. So this is 1 inch. Sorry, I realized that my camera was not capturing. It just suddenly went off. I don't know what happened. Sorry about that. But I already cut out the skirt. But let me explain to us what I did. Here, remember I took out 1 inch. This is to create the bum illusion at the center back, and I took out 1 inch. I also took out 1 inch here. And you can see I've cut that 1 inch out. So I'm just left with half inch here. But that 1 inch, I returned it back here. This is the knee line here. I returned it back to this side. So I basically transferred 1 inch from this side to the side back. And I repeated the same thing here. I also transferred back the 1 inch I removed from the hem to this side. And then I went ahead to connect it from the hem to the knee. And then I also connected to the hip line. So you can see here too that the half inch I have here just connected to the hip line. So I didn't remove anything on the hip line at the center back. So just the same way, I didn't add anything to the hip line at the side back here. So here on the waistline of the back, you can see that I have an extension here. I added 1 inch for that. That's for the waist dart at the back. Remember I said that the front is going to be dartless. I'm not going to sew that on the front piece. So for the back piece, because I want to sew that on it, I added 1 inch here at the side. So this totally depends on what you want. If you don't want to have that at the back, you can make your skirt dartless. And you can see I just went ahead from the center back here on the hip line. I still have my 1.5 here. I slanted it to the half inch I reduced here to eliminate zipper bulge. So this is it. So you can see what our back looks like. You can see that it's not straight anymore. Here I took away half inch from my 1.5 inches. On the hip line, I didn't take out anything. On the knee line, I removed 1 inch, and also on the hemline, I removed 1 inch. But that 1 inch I took away, I returned it back here on the knee and also on the hemline. That's just basically it. And then I connected all my points. Okay. And then for the center front, remember the 1 inch waist sloper we came down by, all I did was to just cut it out, and this is it. So you will notice that I have a notch here at the center back. You want to always create a notch at the center back. This is so that you don't mistakenly interchange the center back for the side back. You can see that our center back is not straight anymore. It looks like there's a hip there, and then here too at the side is looking shapy also, so that you don't mistakenly interchange it. So that is why it's always advisable to notch this part. So what I've done here is all just exactly the same thing as the way we cut our pencil skirt. I'll also be dropping the link of that video in the description box. So just in case you don't really understand what I've said here, just watch the video on how to cut and sew a pencil skirt. You'll get exactly what I have done here. But with this little explanation, I know that we have understood. Thank you, and let's continue. So I'm done cutting out Ankara fabric, and now I'm going to cut the lace that we're going to place on the front piece of my skirt. This is the front piece of the skirt. So here I have the lace fabric. So to measure the length where the lace will start from, I'll be coming down from the hip line. The hip line of my client is 27 inches. So remember I took my measurement from minus 17.5 inches, and our hip line is on 27, which is this point. So from the hip line, I'm going to come down by extra 8 inches, which is going to bring us down to 35 inches. Here, this is the point here. So I'm going to place the lace fabric to touch this point. So this is it from this point. Can you see? So having placed it like this, so I'm going to measure the length I have here. So from the hem to this point where I marked, I have 27 inches. I'm going to subtract 10 inches from this measurement and place it on this side. So here from the hem to this point, I have 27 inches. So minus 10, that's going to be 17 inches. So I'll mark 17 inches at this point. I can see the Ankara fabric under because we're using a lace fabric, so I can see it. I'll mark here at this point. Can you see? So I'm going to place my ruler this way and then I'll slant it. So this side, which is the left hand side, is 27 inches, while the other side is 17 inches. So I'll use my chalk to connect the points like this. This is white, so I will not want to stain it, but just watch carefully, you understand what I'm doing. So I'll go ahead and cut it out, following the shape I have, or following the mark I've drawn already. Can you see? So this is what we have. So next I'm just going to go ahead and trace out the shape at the side here so that it fits into the skirt shape exactly. So you can see this is what our skirt looks like. So next I'm going to tuck in ½ inch. I'm going to fold in ½ inch like this. You don't want to leave it straight like that. Then I'll bring in my pressing iron and press it down. Okay, so as you can see, I've folded it in. So as you can see, I've folded it in. So here I have my hemming gum. I'll be using the hemming gum to gum it down. That's to keep it in place so that it doesn't shift before I stitch it down. Gummed the lace on it, and this is what we have. So the next thing we're going to do is to use the lining to turn it. So I'm going to keep this aside now. So here I have my basic sleeve. This is our basic sleeve. First, I'm going to iron it to get the center. That's to have a crease line. It's just the basic sleeve. If you don't know how to draft a basic sleeve, I'll be dropping the link in the description box. After ironing it to get the center, the crease line, that's the middle here, then I will go up from the hem of the sleeve by 7 inches. So this is 7 inches. Then also from the center of the sleeve, I will go in by 3.5 inches. So this depends on how wide you want the pleat to be. So I'm going to connect from the 3.5 inches to the 7 inches I have here. You see? And then I'll cut out the shape. So you can see I have a triangle shape. So next I'll bring in my Ankara fabric I'll be using to create the pleats. So the tinier the pleats, the better, the fuller it will be. So I'm going to create ½ inch pleats. You see? First, I'm going to leave a space here. Just leave a space of about 1 inch before you begin to start creating your pleats. So I'll iron the first pleat. The second, just small pleats, tiny pleats. Just make it as tiny as possible. Now take note that the hem of my fabric, I already hemmed the hem of the fabric. You want to make sure you hem it first before you start creating your pleats. Because if you leave it like that, it will be difficult for you to hem it after creating your pleats. So hem before creating the pleats. Okay, so now that we have this, Next, I'm going to place my lace fabric and then cut out this triangle shape that I have here. So I'm going to cut it gently. This is it. So I'm going to secure with my pins before removing the lace. So this is what I have here. So I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and stitch it down, and then I'll take off the lace and show you, and then I'll show us how to join it to the sleeve. Okay, I'm done stitching the pleats, and this is what we have. And I've also gone ahead to hem the down part of the sleeve and also hem this side. So by hemming it automatically, it will give me extra ½ inch for my sewing allowance. So the next thing I'm going to do is to place the triangle shape like this. You want to make sure that it aligns with the hem here. You'll notice I didn't add any allowance. So there's really no need to add any allowance. So for the fact that I hemmed the down part, it will just automatically give me my allowance. Can you see? So I'm going to stitch this like this all the way to this point. I'll stitch it this way and then I'll flip it this way and also stitch this side. You want to make it very sharp so that it doesn't cause any bulge around here. So I'm going to pin it and take to my sewing machine and stitch it down. So I'm done stitching the pleats, and this is what we have. This is what it looks like on the right side. Can you see how beautiful it looks? And this is what it looks like on the left side. Pieces, our front piece and our back pieces, everything is ready. The Ankara. Take note that I made the Ankara 2 inches longer than the lining. So I'm going to set the skirt part aside. And here is our upper bodice. I ironed haste to the lining. I'm sorry, paper stay. I ironed paper stay to the lining and I ironed haste stay to the main fabric. And you can see I've also cut my pad and I've ironed the pad to the main fabric. For the back, I also cut out the main fabric. This is it. Everything is ready. And this is our yoke. For the yoke, like I said, I was going to add 1 inch to the length of the yoke. This is so that it takes care of the difference we're going to lose when we join them together. So you can see that 1 inch, and this is it. So the next thing we're going to do is to cut the structure that we're going to have on the cloth that's around the upper arm. So here I'm going to fold my fabric into two like this. So now the measurement needed for this structured sleeve is the upper round arm measurement. So the upper round arm of my client is 16 inches. I'll be adding 3 inches to that measurement. This sleeve is not supposed to be fitted. It's just supposed to be there, just give structure, and then it's bigger than the normal arm of the person, okay? So now this is what I'm going to do. I'll fold my fabric like this into two. I said the upper round arm of my client is 16 inches. When you divide by 2, that's 8 inches. Okay, so 8 inches plus extra 3 or 2 inches is fine. So for me, let's just use 2 inches because it's not going to get to the underarm. Remember, it's just going to be up. So you just need it to fall a little. So I'm going to be using 2 inches extra. So that's going to be 10 inches. So I'll mark 10 inches here. Now, I folded my fabric into 4, so I'm drafting for the 2 sleeves or the 2 hands at the same time. So this folded part is going to be the upper part and this part is going to be the down part. So here from the folded part, I'm going to measure a length of 7.5 inches. I'll mark 7.5 inches. And then here where I have the width of the sleeve, I'm going to measure 5.5 inches. So this is 5.5, and then I'm just going to curve it to meet this point. This is just basically it, okay? So I'll go ahead and cut it out. So remember my fabric is folded into 4, so this is for the 2 sleeves. So here I have one and I have the second one for the other hand. So now you can decide to make the fabric your lining. So that means you have 2 of this and 2 of this. That's if you have enough fabric. If you don't have enough fabric, you can go ahead and cut on your lining. So right now I'm going to cut from my leftover fabric so that I use the sleeve, that's the material, the Ankara fabric, to line it also. And then I'm going to iron gum stay lightweight gum stay on the one that will serve as the lining. Then I'll show us the next thing to do. Right now, we are done with the cutting part of this video. My next video is going to be on the sewing part. So if you have watched this video and you found value, please kindly click on the subscribe button to subscribe and ensure to put on your notification bell so you get a notification every time I upload a new video. Thank you so much for watching and see you in my next video. Bye.